chastise, and that's just one way that you can deal with it. So, dealing with the toxic people in our lives. Okay, so yesterday we had the conversation about how to control our emotions in very intense situations. So today I want to expand on that conversation and speak to how we can deal with the toxic people who are in our lives. Here's the thing, it is very hard to just completely avoid toxic people. And there is no amount of meditation, deep breathing, or even using the 60-second method to debate your response to them that's going to make them magically disappear. It's not the easiest thing avoiding toxic people, especially those who don't present themselves as such when you first come into contact with them. But there are some different tactics that you can employ when having to deal with them. So we're just going to jump right into it. The first thing you need to remember is that you don't need to waste your time and energy trying to change them or even expecting them to change for the sake of you or anyone else, not even themselves. Moving on from toxic relationships is like the ultimate proof of this. So you find yourself having the same conversations over and over again about how they're going to change for the better and how they'll do whatever they can to make your relationship work out and so on and so forth. We've heard it all before, but as we've seen, this is a worthless task. It's a worthless project. You're not going to gain any benefit from it. And one thing we've learned is that toxic people have little to no interest in the feelings, needs, wants, goals, emotions, etc. of any of the people that they affect. Their only pursuit is to go after what it is that makes them feel good about themselves. So this is going to force you to have to create and maintain boundaries. And you have to be consistent when you're enforcing those boundaries. A toxic person will completely deplete you of your resources by forcing you to just please them. They have absolutely no problem making you compromise yourself in any way. And it's exhausting and draining to say the least. So it's up to you to think about and remember your own morals and values. It's up to you to make it absolutely known what it is that you will and will not compromise yourself with. And even the slightest hint that they are about to cross one of your lines, it is up to you to draw and point out and enforce the rules of that line when they cross it, because we know all they'll need to do is just see that you're going to follow through with whatever consequences that you've established, and you can't go back on your word. The second that they sense a weakness in you, they're gonna pounce on you like a cat to catnip. So don't let them draw you into their created false crisis. Like, okay, for example, you might get a phone call in the middle of the night or while you're out doing something that you wanted to do for yourself. And it'll go something like, I need you. I'm in danger. I don't know what to do. I don't have anyone else to turn to. You're the only one, and blah, 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 blah. And it just keeps going on and on. A toxic person has a knack for creating a crisis situation or stir up some drama to like deliberately attract more attention to themselves. They need to manipulate and engage you, to shower them with all of your energy. They want to see you run to be by their side, pulling at your heartstrings at any chance they can get. Now, what you always have to remember is that the need is self inflicted and you're not obligated to save them, not even from themselves. This one is a bit hard for some people to deal with, especially a person who's very empathetic and continuously giving all of themselves to help people who are in need. You will find yourself constantly running to the aid of this person, only to come to the conclusion, oftentimes years down the line, that they never were really in distress. Now, if you've made the choice to extract the toxic person from your life, your inner circle, or personal space, it's best that you occupy your mind with things that have nothing to do with the way they made you feel at the climax of the toxicity. A toxic person has weaseled their way into your life and somehow made themselves a large part of your daily thoughts. And now that they're gone, we tend to harbor on the sadness and anger and frustration that they made us feel in the end. So now instead of them draining you, you are draining yourself in their honor. You cannot continue to give your attention and focus to them after they're gone, because it'll feel as if they never left, and it'll make you more susceptible to opening up the door to allow them to come back in, or allow a person just like them to take their place. There's absolutely no need to continuously rehash and try to figure them out. They're toxic, and that's all that matters. Your job is to go on your own personal journey of correcting your own psyche and focusing your attention on not becoming the new toxic person in your own life. So you have to take ownership of your own downfalls, mistakes, and weaknesses. When you're in a toxic relationship, be it a love interest, a child, your parents, your best friends, coworkers, whomever, you'll find that that individual will continuously bring up any of your flaws and use them to tear you down and make you feel worthless, or as if no one else but them will ever want to be around or be with you. They'll use your faults against you in a way that they can get you to feel this way, or to get you to keep them around, to make themselves the main character in your story. Now, the way to take this power away from them is just by accepting the fact that you're not perfect, and neither is anyone else. And that your faults don't define who you are. They're points in your life where you had to learn a lesson about yourself and about your own strengths. So you have to believe that you're a great person and commit. Show them that you're committed to your own self improvement. Show yourself that you're committed to your own self improvement. You need to learn and commit to memory what the word projection means and how a toxic person will use it against you. Okay, psychologytoday.com defines projection as the process of displacing one's feelings into a different person, animal, or object. The term is commonly used to describe defensive projection, attributing one's own unacceptable urges to another. Basically, what this means is that the toxic person in your life doesn't think very highly of themselves. And the only way to make them feel better about who they are is by tearing you down and making you believe that you're just as bad, if not worse than them. So, for example, if you have a partner who's a habitual liar and they will lie at the drop of a hat about the most mundane things, when you call them on their lies, instead of them owning up to the lies, they'll make an attempt to bring up a time when you probably lied. Be it true or false, they're going to make it seem as if you're a liar and that you're no better than they are, and maybe even worse than them. A toxic person's going to go out of their way to attribute the most negative parts about themselves onto any and everyone they come in contact with. So you have to be prepared for resistance, because a tantrum will always rear its ugly head. Now, take your attention away from the toxic person, and I promise you they are going to act a fool. So you can't allow them to manipulate you and then see how they blow up. They're going to blow their tops when they realize that whatever it is they're trying to do to manipulate you is not going to work in their favor. Okay, personal story. When I cut off a relationship with a toxic partner, he came to my home in the middle of the night, banging on my doors, screaming about how he was going to beat me up and unalive me. He then proceeded to break every single window out of my truck. I can laugh about it now because I understand that his acting out was him attempting to get my attention in the most dramatic way possible. A few weeks after this incident, and even a few days ago, he still acts out in different ways to try to pull at my heartstrings, trying to get me to feel sympathy for him and how horrible he claims his life has been without me. But I refuse to give in to the immature behavior. I've drawn a line in the sand and I'm standing my ground. And when it comes to things like this, you have to realize that sometimes a response to the behavior isn't necessary. Most times, a response, it's not going to help fix anything. It's not going to clear up whatever issues you are having with this person. So be wise when choosing the battles that you're going to have with them. You have to choose the hill you plan to die on very carefully when it comes to dealing with toxic people. I think I think it's pretty explanatory. Engaging in conflict and causing drama is the goal of a toxic person. Sometimes they'll say or do something just to engage you in combat. So it's up to you to throw off their game by not adding fuel to the fire, especially a fire that hasn't been lit. One trick I use is to just agree with the individual, telling them that the option is theirs. You do what you think is best. I don't know if I could make a good decision, etc., etc. It'll throw them off to the point where even they'll eventually give up trying, or they're gonna attempt to engage you in a conflict about you not contributing, to which I say, yeah, I do that sometimes, sorry, and then just walk away. There's no need to stick around and wait to see what they do, because you already know how this is going to end. And once you do this, you need to find and engage better people, happy and mentally healthy people. Yeah, it's easier said than done because at one point you thought your toxic problem person was a good and healthy individual. So just remember that like minds attract. So work on yourself. Become the mentally healthy and emotionally controlled person that you want the people around you to be. Deal with your own personal issues, and you can get a good guarantee that you're going to attract more positive people in your life. Deleting problematic people from your life is not an easy thing to do, especially when the person is like a relative or a person that you're co-parenting your children with, or someone that you have no choice but to work with every day. But there are ways you can deal with them, and you deal with them in ways that are not detrimental to yourself. You're not obligated to engage toxic people. You are also not obligated to put any energy in towards trying to fix them. It's only your duty to love and control yourself. So you have to learn how to set boundaries and stay true to the promises that you make yourself. And don't forget to meditate and breathe.